Sunil Gupta is a serial entrepreneur, highly experienced person guiding teams across the globe on strategic aspects. He is a visionary technology strategist, as they say. He is an IT consultant, and technology is one of his pet areas. He has been nurturing and guiding and mentoring a lot of startups, and I think he's one of the best persons to guide you on making a business plan. Sunil.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Well, I'm more of a practitioner rather than academician, so whatever I'm going to talk about will be more from the experience of 30 years in building, selling, acquiring, investing into companies, and also running now. So, business plan, I'm going to talk more on the context of startup and not a business plan of a running company or existing enterprise or existing business, because it's very, very different. I'm sure a lot of the crowd here is from the startup, right? So I want to make it more relevant in terms of how the business plan is to be made for startup companies, yeah? Sometimes people think that startup, or for that matter, business plan is an outdated kind of, like a black and TV or a telegraph, or that who prepares that kind of business plan. Many entrepreneurs, they're very passionate about their idea, technologies, and they say, they rarely get time to sit down and put on paper the whole activities of their, what the business looks like. They think, I have developed a product and I have arrived kind of thing. I don't need to prepare all those kind of a paper in terms of, for whom, And sometimes they feel that, I don't need a money, I'm rich enough, I'm bootstrapping enough, so why should I make a plan to give it to someone else because I don't need a money. He thinks that business plans are made only for getting a finance or investment. But the real reason to write a business plan is nothing to do with the other people, it is something to do with you. You should be clear that how the whole business will look like from all the angles, whether you want to raise money or not, but there are different aspects, different reasons why you need to prepare a business plan. One is very important because it's a holistic plan. It allows you to think through all the aspects of that. It's not only a product development, not only sales, not only money or financial aspect, but the whole aspects of the business, which is not only one singular element. It can, see, unless until you put it on a plan, you will not be able to identify where are the problems, You may think that your product is ready, you may think you have a money, but you may not have a people there. You may not have, the infrastructure there. You may not have a legal entity there. You may not have a legal infrastructure to create that kind of a business entity. So you need to, put it in some way that so that it highlights the potential problem, I've seen, people who have made, devices for medical, like blood pressure checking or diabetes, but then they realize, that after putting that plan, they don't have the license for selling a medical device. For that itself a long process. So they were thinking that I've developed the product and now I'm good to go to the market. But then they realize that I have an issue in terms of unless and until I get it certified through those medical associations and the clinical trials and all, I will not be able to sell that. So that's why it is important that you put down all the aspects of a business into the business plan. It will also, it's not only necessary that it's only for you, but also it is important that once you put a plan, it's also important that that can help you in explaining your concept, explaining your venture. For various audience, it could be related to, like, if you're raising your money, it could be the investor. If you're hiring the top-notch employees, it could be also related that, we have a plan in place. We are going to grow from here to here to here, there. So, it's a good opportunity for you to join. Maybe talking to the government in terms of if they are giving you a subsidy that, for example, when I was setting up a company recently, Technical Park asked me a business plan. I said, well, what? But, their logic is that if they know that you're going to need some 30,000, 40,000, 1 million square feet down the line in 3 years, they will be able to help you out in terms of, so they need a business plan for that purpose. You need a business plan for telling them this is what it is required. And obviously it gives a complete view of that. So what is a startup? As I said, this is for startup. Then how a startup is different than the existing business or a bigger business, which has got a historical background. Startup is an entity or a kind of a setup or a business where there is no historical background. And it is like, it's every time in a search and discovery mode because they have not identified a model which is going to work. They don't have a history of that. They have some gut feeling, they have a product, they have an experience of a team, but they are always in that kind of a search mode, So it's a temporary organization, I call it, because it keeps on changing. It's not a fix that, I have designed this organization is going to run for that. No, you are in that temporary phase of, I would say, designed to search for a repeatable and a scalable business model. When I say repeatable means, unless and until a startup is able to define the repeatability of their product sales or business predictability and a business model which is kind of a scalable, because startup small in a smaller way, but then the idea is that need to grow. So that is where the whole startup is defined, and that is where your business plan should be able to cater to those kind of a definition of a startup. So as I said, startup business plan, it could be for your investors who are going to finance your business. It could be for, the partners or employees or relationship. Suppose if you want to partner to some kind of a sales and marketing people, that you should tell them that this is a product. We want your distribution channel to be, help us in terms of selling. So all these things, it is important that to, mention in that particular business plan. Most importantly, it serves as a roadmap, because, unless and until you have a directional, unless and until you have put down everything on a piece of paper as a plan, you otherwise will go into different directions. So, this also helps you in guiding you toward a kind of a targeted kind of your goals and milestones which you want to be your plan. And most important thing is that it is not only an external document. Actually, a business plan should cover the aspects related to the customers, like it could be related to products, selling, and so on, as well as the internal, in terms of your own infrastructure, your costs, your capabilities of manufacturing or producing those particular things. So all together, right, from customer focus as well as internal focus should be part of that. And that is where the business model comes to. Let's quote an example of Steve Blank, who is a very good guy in terms of, he had helped a lot of startups in US. He said that no business plan survives the first contact with the customer. And that's why people calling pivoting the model, people calling the change, because startup is a temporary organization. It's still evolving. So the business plan also can keep on changing. So in the first contact itself, probably you have defined a business plan with some assumption, but later on when you start selling, or probably after some time, you feel that I need to change a little bit of things. So your business plan also keeps on changing. And you need to iterate till you make money. Finally, what are you trying to do? You are trying to make a business plan which will help you in making money. If it doesn't help you in making money, again you go back to the drawing board, see to it where I'm making mistake. Whether I made mistake in product pricing, I made mistakes in identifying the right kind of product and right kind of a market segment. Keep on visiting that till you feel that now this is a business plan which is working well, which is making money. That is what is a kind of version which startup need to achieve. So key point to remember in any kind of a business model, as I said, there are customer focus and internal focus. Now business plan should not have too much of jargons. It should have a very kind of a clear-cut document which any person, you have a different audience. You have a banker as an audience, you have an investor as an audience, you have a government as an audience, you have an employee as an audience. So, and also sometimes, if you are a technology company, you don't think that, this business plan is going to be fed only to a technology audience. Investors may come from a different background. So your business plan should be able to communicate in a simple language about what is your business and product without overloading with too much of jargons. Yeah? Spend time in researching and thinking. It's very, very important that don't make a business plan and said, okay, I've done everything now. You need to research in terms of what is your product, you need to research about our competitors, you need to research about our cost, you need to make a comparisons of what kind of, if I do it this way, I have to do it this way, what is the best way to doing business. Keep on doing kind of a research before you put the kind of a plan on a drawing board. And don't make these, I think the other speaker also said, don't make unsubstantiated claims and, big financial progression like, hockey stick projections, we call it, that today I'm doing 1 crore, after next year I'm going to do 100 crores, Don't do that kind of a planning. So you have to have a substantiation of what you're projecting, whether you can really achieve it or not. And so, because investors are smart enough to understand that this projection is realistic or not. So you better be careful in terms of putting the right kind of numbers in front of investors in your business plan. Proofread it again and again. Many times I have seen that entrepreneurs prepare a business plan in a hurry. That tomorrow is my investor page, I'll make a plan, and then suddenly you realize that there's a even simple kind of a formatting mistake, spelling mistakes, your numbers are not totaling up, your grand totals are not totaling up, and it gives a very kind of a wrong impression that the person has not done this exercise properly. If he has not done this exercise properly, that means how he's going to deliver to the kind of the business plan what he's talking. So a lot of things need to be kind of revisited, revised, reviewed before you really present a business plan, which becomes a kind of a first version to present. And as I said, business plan, one could be having a core business plan, but when you are trying to talk to an audience, whether it's an investor, you need to adapt that kind of a business plan for that specific audience, because investor may look for something else, a banker may look for something else. So you need to bring that kind of that information in your plan, so the way it attracts the audience. Yeah. So what is the business model? As I said, there are two aspects of that. One is the customer focus. That means what is the product you are trying to create, and what is the value proposition to that? In terms of and how you're going to sell to various channels. How you're going to develop the customer relationship? What are your key activities? What are your key infrastructure? What is your revenues? What are your costs? And how you're going to make money? Right? So that is what is a business model, and that is what we need to bring in some way, that kind of structured document. So when I say customer segment, obviously, you are in a business for selling it to customers, right? So what are those customers? What is the persona of that particular customer? If it's a technology product or a physical product or a manufacturing product, who's your target segment? How the customer looks like? Who are the kind of buyers for your product? What is that compelling reason that your product is going to sell? You have a unique value proposition. You're good in this feature. You're good in that feature. You are better than competitors. What kind of channels through which? Whether it is an online channel, whether you're going to do a retail sale, or you're going to do door to door. You're going to do campaigns. You're going to do events. You're going to do that kind of how you're going to channelize your sale of your product or services. Then how do you kind of interact with the customer through their various journey of your purchase? Today probably you might have sold that product to a customer. How are you going to do a services to that? How are you going to support them? How do you become the kind of a loyal kind of sticky business with them? So that whole journey of customer relationship also is very important for a startup, because see, when you are starting up, you need to build that customer base, and customer base you need to build incrementally higher every time. Not that, so to do a retention of the customer, it is important to have a good customer relationship. That whole thought process should get into the business plan, that how I'm going to build the number of customers more and more and more down the line. Revenue streams, I suggest, for the startup, sometimes, they get confused in terms of they have so many ideas that they put everything in the same business plan. I have this product, I have this product, I have that product. But for a startup, I recommend that you be very laser focused on only one or two products or services in your plan. Don't get into, that I will generate revenue by this, I will generate revenue by this, I will do this, I will do that. It gives an impression to a person that he's doing too many things and with less kind of resources, which becomes impractical. So you should be very clear that I have this product, and I'm going to do these kind of numbers of selling, and this is kind of a revenue which I'm going to generate out of selling these kind of products. And that is where the plan will come into the picture. Obviously, that was the customer focus side. Internal focus is how you're going to do that. What are the activities? If you are a software company, who are the developers, what kind of people you're going to need, what kind of tools you're going to need, what kind of technology you're going to divide, what kind of resources you're going to need, in terms of infrastructure, whether it's the building, utilities, internet connections. You cannot do everything. By the way, a startup cannot do everything on their own because they are small. So you need to build relationship. So you need to build relationship with the key partners who's going to probably represent you for selling the product. You're going to have a key relationship with the infrastructure provided. Maybe it could be accelerator or incubator who is giving you a kind of a facility. They are also key partner because you are using their facility to build your business. So likewise, you have to also identify who are your key partners, where you're going to outsource you are going to do your core activity of doing your product development or service provisioning. You need to be clear that who are the partners in your business. It could be bank, it could be infrastructure provider, it could be, your distribution channel and so on. And the last is that What are your costs? Obviously, if you want to be successful in business, you know that you need to earn profit. And, unless and until you know what are your costs, unless and until what are the product pricing and the revenue generation, you will not be able to figure it out whether, the business is making sense or not. So it is important to understand what are your kind of costs. Again, costs are like fixed costs, which are very fixed in terms of, where every month is going to be similar. Variable costs are variable based on kind of, your product or services, or kind of indirect costs of variableness, which is built into product costing. So, and on the top of it, obviously, you build margin. So you need to understand that what are our costs, which is indirect and direct costs, and how you're going to meet those kind of a costs. I'm not touching the subject of how you're going to raise the money for meeting those costs, but yes, you need to be very clear that what is my burn rate, what is my burn rate of the venture in which I'm making a business plan. So now, having set the context of, so what all things should contain in a business plan? Any thought process? Can someone give me some pointers about what should be the content of a business plan now? I gave you a very kind of quick background in terms of what is required. No, so I'll just go and probably take the questions later. So what should it contain? It's a document, basically. It's a document. It is important to write a document because that always becomes a reference kind of a place where you can revisit, think through what is going to work and what is not going to work. So it should have an executive summary, company description, products and services, sales and marketing plan, operation plan. So there are 9 sections of that: management and organization, startup expenses and capitalization, financial plan, and appendicitis could be kind of references or statistics, whatever you have done research of in terms of identifying that what is the trend in the market for your product and services, and so on. So basically, this is a document which should not go, I would say, for a startup, it should not go beyond 50 pages. It should be very, very, in fact, 30 to 50 pages is a kind of a limit which you should plan. Yeah? Now, the executive summary is a summary, is again not more than half a page to 1 page. Put it in such a way that what are you trying to solve a problem? What is your product which is going to address that problem? What is the target market? How are you going to achieve that? And what are you trying, have a kind of a milestone for your company? Now, this is 1 page, which is very important, but you should not start writing this in the starting, You should do it toward the end of the whole thing. Because when you are, like in a thought process, once you start documenting things, a lot of things will come to your mind. So keep this as a blank, the starting, and revisit it once you are done with the other section to create a concise kind of a document. Because this is 1 page, which is very, very critical, because all these investors, all those people who are interested in your business are busy people, They just don't have enough time to go through the whole lot of a Bible or a Ramayana of the world. They would like to see a gist of it. If they get they got caught on that particular statements or your description, they should get interested in going to the rest of the document. But if you make your executive summary bad, probably that is enough, demotivation for him to, so he will kind of, sideline it, and he may not even see whatever you have written, which may be more kind of important, but, executive summary has that kind of importance, yeah? In terms of company, it's obviously very clear what is the mission of the company, why you are, what is the existence of your company, what you are, why you want to do this, So that is very important, whether it is, for example, one of my company's mission statement is the value delivered through innovations, So that means you are trying to deliver value through various innovative solutions, products and services. So it should be very clear that what are you trying to achieve? What is the sense of your existence or mission of the organization? What is your philosophy and a vision? Where are you today and where you want to go tomorrow? What are your company goals in terms of numbers, in terms of your expansion plans, in terms of your diversification, in terms of your growth plan? What is the target market you are addressing? Again, it's a very, very brief information that gets further elaborated later on, but a company description indicating these kind of 6 features and what kind of industry you are. So, for example, every business plan for every industry is slightly different. So it is different for technology industry, it is different for manufacturing industry, but I'm making kind of a generic because this is an element which is needed in all kind of business plan. legal structure, whether you are a private limited company or a partnership or a proprietary company, you need to put everything together in a small company description. Now, very important is that what are you? You are in business for what? You are in business for selling your products and services. What is your product? What is the pain point you are trying to solve with your product or service? And what is so unique about it? Whether you have built something unique which is not available in the market, whether you have something you are trying to do which has not been addressed by any existing products or services, and how you're going to price the product. Again, not want to get into details of how the product needs to be priced, but you should be very clear in terms of when you are entering into a business, you should be very clear that how I'm going to price my product, because that is where you will be able to generate the projections of your revenue. If you know so many products you want to sell, if you have the kind of a pricing of the product, then only you can say that this is the kind of a revenues year and year I'm going to generate. So product pricing is important. There could be different strategy of that. Probably you may start. Someone said, Ubuntu. You can give free, but then the free is only for that particular period. For example, Google. Google. What is the product for Google? Search. Do you pay for? No. So how do they get money? They get money because of advertisement. So their revenue streams comes out of AdWords and those other platforms. And unless and until people come on that platform, no one is going to read the ad. So their one product is a free product, which is a search, but they are making money out of that other. Likewise, you could also have a strategy in terms of how do you price your product. You may have multiple streams. That first stream is that could be a freemium model. Then it could be a model where once he graduated for more features, you're going to pay for that. Like that, you should be very clear into that. And that's how you need to price the product. Very, very important is the sales and marketing plan. Do a lot of market research. Now, fortunately, you have a lot of tools and technologies, because when I started my company 30 years back, we never had these Googles of the world. We had some Alta Vista digital kind of a search engine earlier. But nowadays, if you can do a search, you can search any kind of a competitor, any kind of a product. And don't think, by the way, all entrepreneurs feel that I'm unique, there's no competitor in the world. That's wrong. That's a kind of wrong misconception that, there's no competitor for me. Every product has some competition or other. I doubt if there are, something which can be very, very unique. Maybe it is unique to some extent, but there are similar kind of, because that need is existing in the market, that is getting addressed by something with that, whether the new old product or services. So don't think that you are only unique people, you are the only person having this kind of product service. Do that market research. You will get a lot of ideas from that, yeah. You need to also understand, if you are a technology company, you need to understand that this technology is going to evolve. So today, probably I'm doing it if I'm thinking that, I'm going to live the whole thing, the whole organization for another 10 years with the same thing. No. There are going to be new technology, there are going to be new customer requirements, there are going to be new behavioral of your customer, the persona of the customer will change, the kind of services or product they need is going to be different. So there could be different threats to you also, and there could be different opportunities also, So that you need to be very clear in terms of creating a SWOT analysis, which everyone knows, I think. Do a comparison of what is your product and services features are, key areas of, you need to be very clear. Don't get into too much of detailing about each, but in a crisp and comprehensive way, what are the key features of my product and services? See, this is a document which is not an operating manual, a big manual, sales operating manual, standard operating manual. This is a document which is a comprehensive document to convey the whole business into very, very simple form to various audience, internal as well as external. Target customer, I mentioned. Key competitors. In fact, I was mentoring a couple of companies who were pitching yesterday that, again, as I said, don't tell that I don't have any competition. Identify those competition and say that if you have 10 features and 2 features are not there, but in competitors there are 4 features which are not there, which is in my feature, but make a comparison, make an honest comparison. People love that kind of a comparison. Identify, because finally, even if you have to do product pricing, by the way, you have to take some inputs on what your competition is doing. So it's important to have a key competitors kind of a metrics in your plan, yeah? And how will you market a product? See, startups has a limited resources, They may have resources to develop a product, they may have a competent team to guide and create a sales and marketing plan, but when you want to reach out to the customer, whether it is a proximal customer or a global customer, you need to identify how I'm going to acquire them. So customer acquisition strategy. how I'm going to acquire the customers, and how I'm going to sell that, So that is very important. Pricing, I think we discussed. Forecast is important because, you as a startup, you are just starting up. Obviously, you need to grow, right? People love, if you are in the business to, grow and expand and make more money. So it is important that how you forecast the forecast has to be realistic. Don't make unsubstantiated claims, that today I'm going to 1 crore, next year I'm going to do 20 crore. Even if you are doing it, if you can substantiate with the kind of numbers, costs, and other thing, you should be able to do that kind of forecasting. Yeah. Operational plan, again, it differs from companies to company. How are you going to produce that? Let's say if it's a software product, how are you going to do that? Who's going to be developers? What kind of tools and technology you're going to need? What kind of people over there? What kind of facility you'll need? Whether you need infrastructure, or you need high power kind of equipment, and so on. How are you going to assure the quality? See, you are in the product and services business. The customer is going to get retention of and growing customer base is very important for startups. So it is important that you deliver quality. Unless and until you deliver quality, people think that quality is extra cost. Quality is not an extra cost. In fact, quality brings down the cost. Yeah? So it's important that you have a process in place that I'm going to maintain the quality of a product and services by these kind of methods. Location. Location is very important. If you're a retail company, the location is going to be very, very critical. If you are a technology company, you should be very clear that where your major, I would say, resources are the technology people, right? So you need to be clear that how I'm going to source talents. If you are into consumer business, you cannot start a company where your customers are not there around. So location is also important in terms of identifying that what is going to be my location, and if this is a location, what are the kind of advantage I have. So when I started my company in Trivandrum, I'm from North, I looked at various criteria about the location. So what is the kind of difference we make? So I arrived at particular metrics and so this is the location which is going to serve the purpose of my company. What kind of people? You need product people, development people of different, you need sales and marketing people, you need finance people, you need operational guys, you need admin guys. But as a startup, I recommend don't try to build an organization with all those big layers, As an entrepreneur, obviously your job is to do everything first, but build a lean organization where you have to do multitasking yourself, but identify some key people which is going to complement your skills. You, as an entrepreneur, you may not have all the skills, So you, for example, if you're a technology company, you're a computer science graduate, you are good in technology, but you may not be good in finance. You need to have people who are going to help you in finance. You don't have people who are going to do your sales and marketing. You're going to have a people who's going to manage your team. Maybe it could be HR or admin. So try to identify the personnel who's going to be employed in your company as a part of a business plan. And if you are in a business of selling physical product, you need to also plan your inventory. What kind of inventory I'm going to carry, because it is a cost. There's a cost implication. There's a lead time implication. There's going to be the turnaround time of an inventory. So that is very important. And obviously, in this whole process, you will need help from external agencies. It could be suppliers. If you are developing a product, you will need raw materials, or if you are using some tools and technology, you will have to procure those kind of tools and technology, or software components, or some kind of you need to buy some technology also. Or if it is a kind of a new tech product where you have some IoT sensors and all these need to be and you need to be clear that who are my alternate suppliers also, not depending on one supplier. So you need to be very clear that if I'm developing a product, I in fact remember last year I evaluated a startup. He said that I'm procuring these sensors from China, and he's the only one in the world who's supplying this. That's a very risky proposition. You need to identify which are the alternate source for various raw materials or various inputs which are going to go into your product. Okay? Management and organization. See, it's very important. Again, I think time and time again, everyone we've been talking about is that in startup, what is important is the team. Identify a gap. Be very candid about it that I don't have a commercial guy, but we're going to recruit commercial guys. Someone asked about in the question that people may ask that hire this, hire that. Yes, that gaps are there, but if we're going to fulfill down the line, that's where the gaps need to be identified. Startup need a lot of advisors. be very clear that, you need a lot of help from the ecosystem. You need help from TiE, you need help from angel investors, you need help from, your friends and family also. Mention them that, this is a person who's got that kind of experience, he's helping us in this. That brings a lot of credibility to your business plan. And small organization chart, like who all are there, who are the decision makers, who are the key people in your organization. It is important. Now, I have another 8 minutes, 5 minutes, okay. So, as a startup, you need to be very clear what are your startup expenses. Basically the capitalization, what kind of money you need to start up a company. Whether you have to buy some equipment, you have to pay some kind of a deposit for your rental and so on. So that is very important that, you need to have the startup capitalization expenses. That is where it will also define that to build a company, what is going to be your expenses, what is going to be the capital required for your expansion. That also includes your, and sometimes because of startup also need to be clear in terms of telling to the audience or to the people who are looking at a plan that today I am trying to fulfill that expenses through my own, friends and family kind of money which is got. So some kind of a personal financial figures is also useful. Make a 12-month projection only. Don't make 3 years, 5 years plan. It doesn't work. There's no point in making. As I said, the business plan changes as soon as you meet the first customer. So don't try to project some 5 years, 10 years. I don't want to mention the names of chartered accountant, but if you meet a chartered accountant, he's going to do that. But that doesn't work. In startup, make just only first year plan. Have a visibility what you're going to do. So that is important. Cash flow projection, very clear. You need to be very clear in terms of what you're burning, what you're getting in income, and how you're going to, you're burning, in terms of your expenses, whether it's a fixed cost or, the variable cost. Now, sometimes people confuse the, the cash with the revenue, the cash with the sales, The real cash is the cash which comes into them, So that is where it's important, because sometimes people say that I've sold this and this and this, but to run the fire, to run the kitchen, you need the real cash to pay to your salaries of the people. That is very important. So the cash flow projection is also important. Since you are starting up, you don't have the data, by the way, to do a projection, but you at least have some kind of a fixed cost, fixed expenses, which you can document and show a projection. Balance sheet, I think this is something which is understood by. Do a break-even calculation. What is important is that everyone, who the investors or anyone, they would like to know where you're going to make profit. What is break-even? Break-even is very, very simple. That a time point where you're getting more than what you're spending, right? So the simple thing which you have to also project. Again, since you've already done the sales forecast, you've already done the financial calculation, you should be able to, make a plan in Excel again, that when you're going to do a break-even. Use of capital. How are you going to deploy the capital? Suppose you have a 1 crore kind of a money from your own, and you're going to raise, let's say, another round of capital. How are you going to use that? What is the kind of a deployment? Whether you're going to use for infrastructure, you're going to for team expansion, you're going to do market expansion, and so on. That should be very clear in terms of providing a breakdown of the usage of capital. Now, last slide. I would encourage you to create an Excel sheet, simple Excel sheet, with these 11 kind of thing. This is there already embedded in the presentation. Maybe if we want to share that, we can. There is an Excel sheet which we start with filling up those information from the startup fund point of view, basic salary, wages, what are going to be the costs, expenses, projected sales forecast. So once you start filling it up, you will be able to understand holistically what is that my business looking like. And very simple, there's nothing rocket science in this, but it is important that these all informations are linked, and there's no better tool than Excel which can help you. So don't go to a chartered accountant in starting, pardon me, but try to do this exercise as a own exercise. They may help you in expertising and fine-tuning it, but it is important that you as an entrepreneur has a basic understanding in the business plan, what are these various components, and which any person with a small mathematical kind of input should be able to create that kind of a business plan. Last, why business plans are not getting, everyone prepares business plan, but why some plans get funded, some are not. I'm trying to address this because business plans' primary reason is that to get a finance and funding. they fail to relate to the true pain. Sometimes they get into two tangential directions of description that they realize that, what we were trying to solve problem and what the product is have a total disconnect. Value inflation. They said that I have the ultimate project, utmost exam, there is no product in the market, this is going to be the path breaker and all. Don't inflate a value. Let the investor or the people, the audience decide the value of it, not you. Trying to do all things for all people. You need to be laser focused. If you are doing this thing, you better mention that. Not do 10 things through 10 customer base and 10 product lines. No go-to-market strategy. You have everything in there, but you don't know how to sell. Will not work. People say, as I said, we have no competition. Wrong. Sometimes it's not an essay. It's not a big essay. It's not like a book you have to write. It has to be very simple, comprehensive, 30 to 50 page kind of a document. Don't make it too technical. I have seen business plan from technical people, extremely technical. They will draw flow diagram, architectural diagram, that no one is interested in that. Make it very, very simple. Don't get into too technical. Do some amount of risk, this kind of thing. Every business has a risk, by the way. Every business has a risk. So some amount of risk analysis is important to be done, and that is very important part of business plan. And poorly organized. You go from one section to another sections and kind of relate. It sometimes becomes too unorganized. Forgetting cash. Again, as I said, cash and revenues are different, so it's important that what is cash is clear. Also, you need to have some details on these sections, not that a very descriptive one. Unrealistic financials, we discussed. Insufficient financial projections. Sometimes a person makes too conservative assumptions, that it's also important that you make kind of a very kind of realistic and also optimistic conservation. And don't offer a valuation. Don't put that, this is what. Let that be kind of a discussion point, because this is something which, as Anand said, it's not an art or a science, but it actually depends upon, finally a person who's going to give you a value means he's okay with that kind of a value he's getting it out of that product, that business. So that's it. I think I'm dot on time, and happy to take few questions if the convener permits me.